They say variety is the spice of life. In this episode, we're going to talk about why that's true with your fruit trees. Let's go. What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another very exciting episode right here on the MIgardener channel. In today's episode, I'm going to share with you why variety is the spice of life with your fruit tree selections. It's a common mistake that I see people making where they say, I've got a favorite and I'm only going to grow my favorite. The old adage of grow what you like to eat is true. And I'm going to explain why you can kind of stick to that, but yet have an open mind enough to try some different varieties. Because there are some huge benefits with having just an open mind enough to try some different varieties that you normally wouldn't try, still while staying within your preferences. So Mrs. MIgardener, for instance, loves a really good crisp tart apple. Absolutely loves it. For baking as well as fresh eating, it's just her favorite type of apple. For me, I love a really good Bartlett pear. Back there is our Bartlett pear, and that's my favorite pear variety. My favorite peach variety is a Red Haven. So common sense would say, if those are my favorites, I'm only going to grow my favorites. In fact, what prompted this video was I was over at Lowe's and I was watching a couple pick out some fruit trees. They had some fruit trees left over and they were going to be doing some fall planting, and I just overheard them, not quite eavesdropping, but I just heard their conversation. And being a gardener, I kind of pick up on some of these things. And the wife was asking him if they were going to get any more than just one variety. And he was picking out a Honeycrisp apple. And he said, I only like Honeycrisp. I don't want to eat anything else. So they were grabbing 5 Honeycrisp apples. And I did not interject. I probably should have, but I didn't interject. But I internalized what I was hearing, and I thought, that'd make a really good video, because there are so many benefits to selecting more than just one variety, because by selecting 5 of those Honeycrisp apple varieties and planting them all in his yard, he's actually doing something that is going to be counterproductive in the long run. You might have good years, but the good years are going to be okay, and the bad years are going to be really bad. Compare that to if you had some variety. The good years would be amazing, and the bad years would be still pretty good. And we'll get into why in a second. The first reason why is because when you have more than one variety, you have biodiversity. Biodiversity is something that we stress even in the garden, not just in the orchard, but in the garden. Biodiversity is so important. With biodiversity, this is kind of the sole reason why we have a healthy garden in the first place. If we grew only one variety, the first thing that would happen is that we would have really high pest numbers. Pests will hone in on specific varieties and find their weaknesses. Once they find their weaknesses, they don't just go away. They don't cut you some slack. They will literally take advantage of you every single day that tree is around, or that plant for that matter. It could be a tomato plant, it could be a pepper plant, a squash plant, it doesn't matter. When they hone in and find that plant's weakness, they will then say, all right, I'm going to tell all my other buddies to come in here as well and take advantage of all the other plants, because now that we've cracked the code to this plant's weakness, we can exploit all the other plants as well. But if you have a lot of biodiversity, the pests only have one chance to really crack the code. And there's a bunch of other ones that kind of just say, well, okay, this plant can be pest food, we're going to thrive. And you can actually use this as an advantage, because this trap plant, if you will, is kind of trapping all the pests, and the rest are going to be thriving. And so season by season, you might have seasons that are bad with pests, and seasons that where the pests aren't all that bad and they're pretty much non-existent. And that's fine. But the years that they're bad, you have all the same type of tree, you're going to be signing yourself up for a lot of pest problems. Also with things like disease. If you have one disease, there are certain trees where if you have just a different variety 5 feet away, it won't even affect it, because of the fact that it might be immune to it. It might be unaffected because it's just, it doesn't affect it because it's not stressed enough, or it's not weak enough, or maybe it's just, like I said, resilient enough that it doesn't quite affect it that much. And so if you have something like, this for instance, so we have some apple blight here on one of our apple trees. Well, if we had, let's say, a Macintosh and a Gala, well, the Gala might be completely unaffected because the apple blight doesn't affect it. And so you have diseases that affect, if it affects one Gala and you have 5 other galas, well, chances are all your trees are going to have that. And that's because you're basically growing a monoculture. We talk about all the time how monocultures are not a good thing, yet we watch home gardeners all the time say, I only like Honeycrisp, or I only like Gala, so I'm going to plant just Gala. Okay, well, again, what happens if something goes wrong? The bad years are going to be really bad, and the good years are going to be average. And that's because you're just basically planting a monoculture. The second reason why biodiversity is so important is because of pollination. There's no question whatsoever that when you have multiple varieties, cross-pollination is actually magnified. The pollen from those varieties are going to cross-pollinate, and it's going to increase your fruit yields. If you only have one variety, say, for instance, I know my pear varieties and my peach varieties, so we'll stick with those because that's where I feel comfortable. But let's say you have just a D'Anjou pear, and that's my favorite variety, and you plant like 5 different varieties of D'Anjou, or 5 different trees, all D'Anjou. Well, the problem is that when those trees bloom, there's not really any difference in their pollen type. The genetic makeup of the pollen is all the same. So when you're kind of essentially just kind of creating a purebred, and a purebred doesn't always have the best results. So with things like apples, they like to have a cross. They actually have increased fruit yields up to 75% more fruit when they have a different partner to cross with. And so it's very common for you to see on tags where it'll say, I need a pear, right? Don't buy just one, buy 2. It's recommended. Blueberries, apples, pears, peaches, plums, cherries, super common with fruit trees. Most fruit trees, they need another close by plant that's of the same species but slightly different to have a better cross. So keep that in mind. Very, very important that you're gonna have increased fruit yields. And that goes back to, again, what I was talking about, which is, let's assume everything goes well and your fruit trees are just blooming like crazy. It's gonna be a fantastic year. Well, because you don't have a robust cross with your pollen, even the good years are gonna be meh years when it could have been phenomenal when you crossed. So just keep that in mind. The third reason why biodiversity is so important is because not every year is going to be good for that specific variety. Prime example, it happened to us this year. So we had a really late frost, and this Bartlett pear was in mid-bloom. I mean, it was just white as snow with blossoms. And I thought, oh my gosh, we were gonna have a bumper crop of pears this year. Well, about a week later, we had a really late frost. In fact, it snowed, had freezing rain, and all the blooms, except for a small handful, actually survived. We had on that beautiful, giant Bartlett pear tree, we had 2 Bartlett pears this year. On this D'Anjou, which is a later flowering variety, it was not in full bloom. In fact, there was no blooms open at all. This tree, this tiny little tree that we just planted 2 years ago, had 22 to 2. 20 more pears on a tree that is like a quarter its size to its counterpart. And that's because it just bloomed later. Different varieties will bloom at different times, and this has to do with chill hours. So most trees, I don't know if every tree, but most trees have what's called chill hours. Deciduous fruit trees will have chill hours. And so apple trees will have somewhere between 400 and 900 chill hours. Apple trees or pear trees will have somewhere between maybe like 300 and 750 chill hours. Just throwing out some numbers. I don't know exactly for sure, but I do know that they have something called chill hours. And this is the amount of hours below 34 degrees Fahrenheit where they need to stay. So they need that many hours below 34 degrees Fahrenheit in order to reset their fruiting cycle. And so if you don't have that many hours, they won't bloom. They actually won't flower. So you'll have years where there's a really short winter, or like the weather is like inclemently warm, right? And you'll have years where you'll hardly have any fruit at all, or sometimes you won't get any fruit whatsoever because the fruiting cycle never got turned over. There was not enough chill hours. Or if you buy a variety where let's say it's geared for more down south, like peach varieties, for instance. This is very common. If you have, say, a peach that does really well in warm climates and it only needs, say, like 200 or 300 chill hours, it might survive through the winter. But as soon as that weather gets even remotely above the 34-degree threshold, instantly it kicks into flowering. It instantly gets ready to start flowering because it wants to flower as soon as possible, because it only needed 200 chill hours, but heck, I've had 700. I'm like ready to go. That's what this tree is thinking to itself. And so it just starts blooming immediately. That's what happened to the Bartlett, because the Bartlett has far less chill hours than the D'Anjou. And so in years where you have an early warming spell, that variety is going to flower much sooner than the D'Anjou, and you're going to have a problem there because an early frost or a late frost can easily wipe out that whole entire tree. So just keep that in mind, that again, not every year is going to be a good year. Some years, every single fruit tree just hits it just right, and it's like all the stars align, and you have buckets upon buckets of fruit, and you're just like, I'm such a blessed man, I don't even know what to do with all of this fruit. And then there's other years where it's kind of hit or miss. And that's why planting more variety helps you with ensuring that, if something doesn't pan out, you're going to have success with another variety, hopefully. There are so many benefits to growing a very biodiverse garden, but I just found it so hilarious that this guy was going out to the store and basically treating this fruit tree as if it was his favorite fruit at the grocery store, and he just had the luxury of just hand selecting exactly what he wanted. And I think so often we all can do that. We all have our favorites, and we think, in a perfect world, if I could just eat this one variety my whole life, everything would be peaches and roses. But it's not always that way. And so I thought this video would be at least helpful, interesting, and enlightening. If it was, make sure to throw a like up there, subscribe if you're not yet already, and let me know in the comments box below if you have any questions, or if you found this informative or interesting. And I'd be really curious to see what you thought about this episode, because it was totally spur of the moment. I had no idea I was going to film this episode until I saw that, and I was just like, man, that does happen a lot. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something new. And as always, this is Luke from the MIgardener channel, reminding you to grow big or go home. We'll catch you all later. See ya. Bye.